For this playthrough, I'll be the Romans again. This control here is a little bit sticky, but there, it's finally gone. As you can see, there are a lot of different options. Civilization 3, like Civilization 2, was eventually made multiplayer capable. There was a multiplayer edition. This is the complete edition. And just like in Civilization 1, they let you choose your climate in this menu. Civilization 2 is a little bit more cryptic about this. And again, it's sticky, so I'm trying to get it to cooperate with me, and it's not really working very quickly. There's Julius Caesar, because as before, Rome is actually the default. They've added a whole bunch of skill levels. The skill levels are no longer from Civilization 1, but are partly from Civilization 1 and partly new. And there are these special modes that you can activate, although I'm not going to activate any of them. Notice that the highest skill level is Cid, or Sid Meier. I almost clicked Wonder Victory, but I decided I should just go with the default settings. So, Dawn of Civilization. It's the year 4000 BC. Your ancestors were nomads, but over the generations, your people have learned the secrets of farming, road building, irrigation, and they are ready to settle down. Caesar, your people are militaristic and commercial and have recently mastered warrior code and alphabet. People have vested absolute power in you, trusting, and so on. So you start out with a settler. So I'm going to found Rome immediately to get started as quickly as possible. And they've also given me a worker. One distinction about workers is that not only are they unable to build cities, but settlers are unable to build improvements on land. So you need to have both to do this properly. And as you can see in my city of Rome there, the only building I have is my palace. And you see I have food, I have commerce in different forms. Apparently they count science and happiness, or rather luxuries in the old terminology, as commerce. The garrison includes the worker, because he hasn't left yet. The garrisons are a little bit simpler to administer in Civilization 3, because you don't need to tell the AI to support them from that city. They're just supported from that city as soon as they arrive. So there's my science advisor, confirming what we're going to research. The production in the cities is actually automated. If you want something specific built, you have to specify it every time that production changes. That's one of the things I find irritating, not just about Civilization 3, but about 4 and 5 as well. You have to pay very close attention if you want to develop your society deliberately. And as you're going to see, it's going to produce a lot of things I didn't want it to, just because I have, on this playthrough, been a little bit less attentive than maybe I should be. As I mentioned before, your borders expand as your culture becomes more respected, so that's what just happened. So the volcano there has erupted. They've mentioned that in the introduction. Volcanoes are actually active in this. So I'm going to have to clean up that lava with the worker. Meanwhile, a settler is being built in Rome because I'm going to prioritize building of settlers over everything else initially, although I'm going to build some military units partly for defense against barbarians and partly because the computer keeps building them without my consent, just because I'm not paying close enough attention to say no. So I have another settler there. I'm going to have to take the settler somewhere to build my second city. Notice that little city over there on the right? That's actually a barbarian city. Now I could take the risk and go in. The Etruscans, apparently. They're sort of barbarians in this context. But you can learn things, and it's a lot like the villages in Civilization 1 and 2. Obviously, they could be just barbarians who kill you as well, so you're always taking a risk when you go in there. What I like to do is to build new cities when I find those locations. So in the next turn, I'm going to build a city there with the settler there. So I'm trying to decide what to do with Rome here, because notice it switched to warrior without my consent. I want another settler. This is my first screw up. Another thing I find a little bit irritating is your overall population is hard to find. You get population by city. See 10,000 for Veii. I'm pronouncing that right. But your overall population doesn't have a counter anywhere in the main screen. So, I'm going to start cleaning up the lava here. And meanwhile, my science advisor wants to switch to researching iron working because we now know bronze working. So, clean up pollution. I have the radiation symbol there because later in the game it becomes a bit darker. In other words, you might be dealing with radioactive waste because somebody nuked you or whatever. Although really, just like in Civilization 1 and 2, you don't really want that to ever happen. You want to do everything possible to prevent nuclear war because it's not as destructive as in real life, but it's still destructive enough to cause a loss in the game generally. So now we have another settler. And notice that Rome has switched to producing warriors again without my wanting it. Now we just ran into Shaka. The Zulus are referred to as Zululand in Civilization 3 because they want the nations to have names as opposed to referring to this tribe or that tribe in the plural. So I've agreed to exchange technology with him because it seems like a good idea. In this playthrough, I don't get to meet any other serious tribes except for the Zulus. Just because, as with the Civilization 1 playthrough, I decided to stop at 1 AD, or rather 30 AD, in the context of Civ 3. I produced a warrior there, which I didn't really want. I switched to settlers. Anyway, we're out of time. See you in the next video.